do you talk to your children about sex and relationships? And how do you make sure they're growing up feeling good about themselves and their sexuality? Hello and welcome to Sex, Storks and Gooseberry Bushes, a video designed to help you talk to your children about sex. Whether you have older children in their teens, starting their first serious relationship, or young children curious about where babies come from, you'll need to answer all sorts of questions. Research has shown that good sex education can mean that young people have their first sexual experiences later. Good sex education can also reduce the rate of teenage pregnancies and sexually transmitted infections. Children need to learn about the positive side of sex, as well as the risks and dangers. If you give them the impression that sex is bad or avoid talking about the subject altogether, your children may find it difficult to ask questions later about anything they find worrying or confusing. Showing your children it's all right to talk about sex helps them feel comfortable about it, and they will be more likely to come to you for support when they hit their teens. This isn't a video about the facts, but about the ways and means of improving communication about sex with your children. We've divided the video up into 5 sections, each of which looks at common problems parents come across time and time again. These themes are: you're not the only one, help, if at first you don't succeed, get the facts right, and pick a good time. Each section will include a short piece of drama and individual parents and groups sharing their experiences on the subject. We hope that you'll find them interesting and helpful. However, the most important thing to remember if you're having difficulties is that all parents need help at some time, and help is out there. There are some useful numbers and addresses at the end of the video and in the accompanying booklet.
Anyway, it's good to see you two.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Locked
away.
Here's
to us.
And having the babies.
Sharing experiences with friends, asking their advice if they have older children, and generally seeing the funny side of situations can make the subject seem less daunting.
What do you know? Because he keeps asking all these questions, like, how's she got in my tummy? I mean, he's only 4 years old, I haven't got a clue what to say to him. I mean, what do you say?
Well, what did you say? I mean, don't tell me you used the old stork story, please.
Just made something up and changed the subject. So.
You can't fall off that easily.
You can't.
They'll be on at you until they get an answer that they're satisfied with.
Tell us about it. Charlie never gives the subject a break.
I mean, what sort of questions do your kids ask?
Well, when Zach was younger, he asked me if I could have children in my tummy. And when I told him I couldn't, he said, well, is that because it wouldn't fit out the end of your willy when it was to come out?
That's enough to make your eyes water.
So what did you say to him?
Well, I had to tell him basically how a baby's made.
What? Everything?
Yeah, almost. I mean,
Yeah.
How old was he?
He's about 6.
Yeah, he was about 6.
And he took everything in?
Well, he seemed quite happy with my simple explanation, then went back to play with his toys. I mean, come on, children are much more sus than we generally give them credit for.
Yeah, if you tell them things in a language they can understand, they seem to accept it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that should be easy enough for you then, Bob.
But listen, it's the earlier the better. I think that's important because it's easier to tell them in stages.
Our two, for example, are always examining each other in the bar.
Yeah.
And then they tell each other all about the latest thing that they found out.
Doesn't that bother you a bit, though?
No! Believe me, you can't hide anything from kids. It's best that way.
I suppose they'll find out one way or other.
Well, exactly.
But mind you, it doesn't stop them from embarrassing you in public, though, occasionally.
Really?
Oh, Jeff, do you remember that time that Zach turned to this little old lady in the queue and asked her if she had hair on her mini?
Her what?
A mini.
That's what Zach calls a lady's private parts. And this woman looked at us in absolute disgust and then just turned around and walked out of the shop.
Oh,
You see, I've told Zach that we all develop pubic hair as we grow older. And he went through this phase of asking every stranger in the street if they've got hair
Everyone
too.
you met, you couldn't believe it.
It was awful.
Sorry.
Young children will be curious about their own and other people's bodies, pregnancy and childbirth. Try responding with a simple but truthful answer.
The seeds they're kept in Daddy's willies. And then Daddy's put them in their tummies, in their nunnies. And then they grow. And then they come out from their mummy's nunnies. And and then they're out of Mummy's tummies. What else?
I can't remember actually. I think it was when my best friend got pregnant and she wanted to know how the baby had got in her tummy and why the baby was in her tummy and how the baby was going to get out of her tummy. And I said that it came from a seed and the seed got into the mummy's tummy, and she wanted to know how the seed got into the mummy's tummy and why we had daddies. So it was easier to say that daddies had the seed. Where did daddies keep the seed? And it was, is it in their ear or is it up their nose? So I said no, keep it in their wow wow, which is what we call Willie. And so that's how that explained it. And it was, how do we get the wow wow into them? And I thought it's better to be straightforward with her, and that's how we sort of got to that. So it was just because my friend was pregnant.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the word penis. I know it's a horrible name, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a proper name for it.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine when he's like 30, going to the doctor and saying, I've got a problem with my willy? That sounds a bit childish.
Men that were around there didn't have boobs, and he said to me, well, I have boobs. I said, no, because you're a boy. He said, boys don't have boobs, boys have willies in the middle of Asda. So he started crying. I said, what's the matter? But I want them.
And she told me what it was, and she said, oh, we get all this blood, and oh, the toilet's disgusting. And I was worried sick, and I remember going to schools and saying to me mates, seeing like this blood down the toilet and saying to me, hey, that's what's going to happen to all us, you know. And then when I did actually start my period, I was in school and I was so horrified, I started crying everything. I thought I was dying, all this blood.
You didn't know?
God, I just did not know, and I just wished that my mum had sat me down and said to me, well, this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And I was just so shocked that...
So are you going to do that with Olivia? Are you going to sit her down and tell her before it happens? Because periods in girls are starting younger and younger, aren't they?
I think they should be told from about 6.
I was wondering, she said, oh, what they for? And I said, what they're for. She said, where'd you put them? I said, you put them up here, Minnie. She goes, but how does it, as I said to her, there's another hole behind where you do the wee. So there's another hole, you put it in there. Well, I'm not going to use them. I said, well, what are you going to use them? She goes, I'm going to use them as a little box of panty liners. But she said, well, is it real blood that comes out? I said, no. I said, it's like a special blood. I said, if a baby doesn't grow in there, I said, you get this like blood. So it's not like blood that you have when you cut your finger.
Is that the more that you tell children, the less they have to experiment for themselves, and the less they have to ask friends or get information from magazines that might be incorrect. Yeah, because they know it all before it's happened to them, and they feel safer about that, and they'll feel more comfortable coming to talk to you about that because they know that you've already supported them in telling them about certain issues to do with sex.
I can't remember who it was. I was in the post office queue, and it must have gone hard, and they said their willy had gone all funny. My willy wouldn't stay still. I think that was Claire. My willy wouldn't stay still. He was going in this post office queue. Oh my God.
Part of the process of growing up involves becoming more independent. Children need privacy, and they need to start making their own decisions. Parents and children can sometimes find it difficult to see eye to eye, and your child may make decisions or act in a way you don't agree with. The following drama shows a situation many parents have to cope with.
Could you leave me a couple of quid for today, Mum?
I've made sandwiches for your lunch.
I've told you I've got netball after school. I'm going to need more than just sandwiches.
More! You always need more! Hurry up! Your lift is here. £2.
Thanks.
Should be enough. That's all I've got.
Cheers.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.
God.
Oh, my trainers. I'll be there in a minute. I've just forgotten something.
You've got some explaining to do, dear girl. Oh, God. Yes, you may well. Oh, God.
Give those to me. They've got nothing to do with you.
Don't you speak to me like that.
That's my property and it's none of your business.
You're 16 years old, and while you live under my roof, everything you do is my business. How long have you been taking these?
Stop interfering in my life. I'm old enough to do what I like.
You're still a child. Who is he? Who are you sleeping with?
Who said I was sleeping with anybody?
You must be if you're taking the pill.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Don't you get cocky with me.
I'm going. I'm going to be late.
You're not going anywhere. We're going to sort this out.
Lisa's dad's waiting for me. Let go of me.
We're going to talk tonight. And don't you dare be late. Dee, is that you?
Yeah.
I'm in here. Dee, it's okay. I don't want to cause an argument over this. I'm sorry for the way I reacted this morning.
I hate it when you shout at me like that. You can be really difficult to talk to sometimes.
I know. I'm sorry. I do worry about you, you know.
You still treat me like a kid.
I realise that now. Well, that's why I want to sort it out and talk about everything that's been going on.
And you won't shout at me?
Of course not.
Okay then.
Why don't I make us a cup of tea? So where did you meet him?
I met him in the sports club about 2 months ago. He's really nice.
What's his name?
Gary. Before you ask, he's 18.
18. A bit older then.
Mum, don't worry, we haven't had sex yet.
You haven't? So why are you on the pill?
Mum, we're really serious about each other, but neither of us want to muck anything up by me getting pregnant. This is just in case.
Excuse me.
I am 16.
And he hasn't pressurised you?
No, he hasn't. Gary's really nice. But we're both still at school. Neither of us want to rush into anything.
So how did you know to go on the pill?
Mum, I do read magazines, you know. And I went to the doctor. She gave me loads of advice and information. She did ask if I mentioned it to you.
I wish you had discussed it with me.
Well, look at the way you reacted when you found the pills.
Well, of course I'd have been shocked, but I'm sure I would have come round to it, especially as you've been so mature about it. You seem to have thought about it all so sensibly.
Thanks, Mum.
So why haven't you introduced Gary to me then?
I thought you'd be worried about his age, and he's a bit embarrassed to come round.
I hope you haven't been saying rotten things about me.
Of course not. He's just a bit shy, that's all.
All right. Well, why don't you invite him round? Give me a chance to get to know him.
Shock and concern expressed as anger is a perfectly natural reaction to this kind of situation, but one that can alienate your child. If you find yourself in a similar situation, try not to get angry. Perhaps talk to your partner about it, or a close friend or relative, or you can phone a helpline for advice.
There's no reason why sex should be a secret from children. You know what I mean? It's such a natural thing, you know, and they should understand both the pleasure and the responsibility of getting involved with somebody. That's what I want them to know. And I hope.
Okay, the general approach is whatever she asked me, I'd answer, no matter how hard it was. And no matter how simple I had to make it, I'd answer her. Because when I was quite young, there were some questions I never got answers to, and it really upset me for a long time.
And the person I'd most like to find out from is my mum, because she'll answer me anything that I ask her. And if I ask her anything, then she'll just answer me, and she won't go all shy and everything. But sometimes, like, if you ask, like, other people, like my nan or something, she just goes a bit all fluttery and everything, and it doesn't really help. But with my mum, you can always ask her anything.
Yeah, I don't ever... I'm very conscious now that it's actually probably harder to give good sex education to children than it was when I was growing up, because when I was growing up there was no HIV/AIDS, so I wasn't given sex education to tell me about the possibility of dying from sex. So what I'm trying not to do is to be fearful with them about the possibilities of sexual abuse or interference from men. I don't want to do that. On the other hand, I do want them to know that some things are okay and some things definitely aren't. So that, for example, I hope I've given them an idea that if anybody ever makes you feel uncomfortable, for whatever reason, you've got a total right, and you must tell someone, move away, run, do whatever feels appropriate at that time. And I've always said that to them, because that is something that does concern me a lot.
Once your children reach their teens, they may not want to admit that they don't know certain things, so try and engage them in discussions and make it easy for them to ask you questions. They may not want to ask much at first, but you'll have shown that you're approachable and a good listener. Sometimes you'll need to take the initiative and bring up the subject of sex with your child. If they're embarrassed, don't give up. Once they know you're prepared to discuss sex with them like an adult, they're more likely to come to you for advice, and you are the best person to make sure they're getting the correct information.
So how long did you say Tom's been going out with Gemma?
About a month now.
Well, I hope you've had a talk with him, man to man.
What do you mean?
You know, about the whole sex thing.
Oh, Sue, the lad's only 16 years old.
Oh, yeah? And how old were you when you started thinking about having sex?
Can't remember. Oh, I suppose...
Exactly. And the kids now are a bit more with it than they were in your day.
Hey, I'm not that old. Surely they must tell them everything about it at school.
No, I don't know what they tell them, but they're probably only get the biological facts and not the advice he needs if he's up to anything.
I doubt if he's up to anything.
Oh, listen, don't forget to mention AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases.
Oh, God, Sue, how am I going to tell him about all of this? I mean, it all sounds so clinical.
Well, he does need to be reminded.
Mum, Dad, I'm back. I'm just going upstairs.
Now's your chance.
Now? But...
There's no time at the present. Go on.
I don't know what to say.
Listen, you'll think of something. Go on.
All right.
Tom? Tom, do you think we could have a little chat? Man to man.
What?
Listen, son, I think there's a few things we need to talk about. You know, with you seeing Gemma?
Yeah, what?
Well, look, you've been seeing her for a little while now, and, well, things can suddenly start to move very quickly. You know, when you really like somebody. You do like her, don't you?
Who?
Gemma.
What about her?
You like her, don't you?
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Right. Well, when you really like somebody, you know, being the age that you are, you're still young, but you might feel that you're old enough to, well, do certain things. You know, do us a favour, will you, and turn that down? I can't hear.
Well, I can't exactly concentrate when you're talking to us, can I?
Tom, I am trying to have a conversation with you.
Tom, Billy's here.
Okay.
Look, Dad.
I really have got to go.
Well, look, I do want to have this chat with you, okay?
Yeah, later, Dad.
Hiya! Alright, son?
You alright, Dad?
Yeah. You going out tonight?
Yeah.
It's a nice new shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You've polished your shoes.
Yes.
Must be a special occasion then.
Not really.
So, are you going out with Jenna tonight?
Yeah, yeah.
Must be getting quite serious if you're going to all this effort.
Well, suppose.
So where are you taking her?
Oh, we're just going to the cinema.
Oh, good. What are you going to see?
Is this 20 questions or
I'm
what?
just taking a keen interest in my son's social life. How far's the relationship gone then?
Oh, God, Dad.
Look, I just want to know that you're going to be careful if things are getting serious, that's all.
What do you mean?
Look, when I was at the shops, I got you these. Okay?
Dad, we're not.
Well, maybe it's not, but you know, at some point in your life, you know, I mean, I was young once, I've been through it. So, when the time's right, I'm sure you'll know what to do. You do know how to use them, don't you?
Oh, yeah, they showed you at school.
Now, condoms are only a part of it, okay? But if you have any questions at all about sex, come and talk to your dad, alright?
So I suppose you're an expert on sex now.
I suppose you could say that.
I'll ask Mum about that.
Hey, don't be cheeky.
No, seriously, Dad, I really appreciate it. Oh, by the way, did you get the tickets for Saturday's match?
Did I get the tickets for Saturday's match? Did England win the World Cup in 1966?
Yes!
Thomas, who was about 8 at the time, I think, came out of school asking what is a condom. Basically having to explain that led us into a lot of other things, which he now understands. So rather than these weird words coming out of school he doesn't really understand, he could get himself in trouble by saying things he doesn't know. So it's good that he comes and asks out these sort of things.
May practical, like, you know, look, you know, if you sleep with a girl, you make sure you use a condom, you know, and, you know, I talked to him about the whole thing of catching sexually transmitted diseases. I think that's kind of worked fairly well with him. And also about having children and getting, you know, getting a girl pregnant, and the fact that he would have to take responsibility for that child. And we always said to him, look, you know, you don't think that if you get a girl pregnant, there's no way that you're going to be able to, we're going to let you just run away from it. You're going to have to face that responsibility and all that.
So I've tried to, and particularly my husband as well, has tried to be honest with him with his questions, so he knows now about not just your general sex education, but things like wet dreams, you know, which I know is a difficult subject coming from your mum.
So just the real policy is just to be open, honest, try not to make any subject taboo, so that, you know, because I want them to be able to come to me and say, well, we've heard this or we've read this. Or,
so I try to sort of concentrate on two aspects of it. There's the sex education for reproduction, and also for fun, which should always be done. I mean, I always teach them it's got to be part of a loving relationship.
And we started this Dads and Lads project, which is literally aimed at dads coming down with the lads, playing together, and then the dads going on to talk about parenting issues in separate groups. And so far it's been very successful. We run once a month. We average about 25-30 people come along, and the catalyst, the thing that got them in, was football.
Sex thing now with Tom, now he's 14, 15 next birthday, is going to be a big thing for us now.
Yeah.
You know, how do you explain, or if he doesn't ask, how do you try and tell him about it?
Yeah, approaching the issue.
Yeah. So it can be very, very interesting to. Well, I need help.
Well, I think you'll do.
Help.
Now, it's difficult to approach when they're coming up to teenagers, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I've had the same with my daughter. It's very difficult to approach. She doesn't want to talk about it. She gets all embarrassed and goes away. So, although we say they're miles too young to learn about it at 8, 9, 10, 11, are they more approachable?
Yeah. Very innocently, you start saying the word dick and fanny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we discussed it, and we said, right, if he's going to use these words, use the correct words for the part that the body's talking about.
Yeah.
You know. So we sat him down and we said, if you're going to, you know, say about this, use the correct words, and we taught him the correct words, and he started to use the correct words.
Yeah.
When you've discussed sex once, you'll find it much easier to bring up other subjects you want to talk about. Getting the facts right is also important because, like it or not, children will always ask questions about sex. While you may find it difficult or embarrassing, it's best to give them the most honest answer. However, there may be times when you don't know the answer to a particular question. If you find yourself in this situation, don't panic. Don't avoid the issue, and most importantly, be honest. Say you don't know and suggest that you both go and find the answer together. There are lots of places where you can get information. Your local library or bookshop, for instance, will have books on sex and reproduction. You could visit a family planning clinic where you can pick up leaflets on contraception and sexual health and ask for advice. Talk to the receptionist who'll be pleased to help you.
Okay.
Period and stuff.
Periods, yeah, which I find quite interesting.
Yes.
There's this one here you might find interesting. It's all the myths answered.
Organisations such as FPA specialise in providing advice and support on contraception and sexual health, so you could either write to them or phone them and they will send you the relevant information, which you can look at together. This way you can make sure your child is getting the correct information.
Okay, let's have a look. Right, there we go.
Finding the right time to talk about sex can be difficult, but there are ways to make it easier. Make the most of opportunities that arise. For instance, you may find yourself watching a programme that's about teenage relationships. This would be a good time to casually bring up a subject you'd like to discuss. Soap operas deal with sex and relationships and can provide you with the opportunity to take the subject further. You may find it easier to avoid eye contact when talking about sex, so pick a situation where this is possible. When you're unpacking shopping, for example, or driving along, can be good opportunities.
Use them once a month. It's one of them.
At the moment, we're working on a speakeasy project, which is parents talking through how we talk to our kids about sex. Pregnant, that my wee boy was 8. Right. And we had a book in the house, and when he asked me then about the babies, I went and I got the book.
What's a prostitute? And he said it's a person who makes sick animals better. So a couple of days later, she was in school, and they were all writing a wee story about what they want to be when they grow up. She wrote, I want to be a prostitute.
We hope that this video has given you some useful information. Perhaps you could contact your children's school and find out about their sex education programme so you can support what the school is doing at home. You may even be able to borrow books or videos you can look at together. Some important tips to remember are: start early. You'll find it much less embarrassing if you're open with your children from when they're very young. Answer questions simply and naturally. Be honest. Try and be as truthful as you can. Stories about storks and gooseberry bushes are confusing. If you don't know the answer to a question, say so and suggest you find out together. Use everyday situations. Television programmes, especially soaps, as many teenagers can relate to them, can be good for prompting conversation, as they're often about relationships. Have some information handy. Books and leaflets can be a great way of discussing a subject together. You'll find a list of resources in the accompanying booklet. And finally, remember, help is at hand, from friends and family and from organisations that specialise in giving information and advice on sex and relationships. Give them a call or drop them a line and they'll be pleased to help. Some numbers are coming up. Research has shown that most children would like their parents to be the first person to talk to them about sex. So, give it a go.